Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today, I have an old car battery, and the first thing I'll do is clean the dust and dirt from the outside so I can inspect its condition more easily. Next, I'll use a multimeter to check the battery's voltage. I place the two probes on the battery terminals, but as you can see, the meter shows almost nothing but zeros. To make sure, I'll perform another practical test. I connect the wires from a light bulb to the two terminals of the battery to check whether it can still supply power. But as you can see, the bulb does not light up at all. This indicates that the battery is completely discharged or may have a serious problem. Next, I'll use another small battery that still has power as a comparison. First, I use a multimeter to check the voltage of this battery. This time, the meter shows approximately 12.77 V. Next, I connect the light bulb wires to the two terminals of the battery. And as you can see, the bulb lights up normally. This shows that the battery still has power and is working properly. So, is the original battery really dead, or is there still a way to restore it? Today, I'll continue inspecting it and try to bring this battery back to life. First, I'll remove the caps from the battery to access the cells inside. Next, I drain all of the old electrolyte into a separate container. As you can see, the liquid inside the battery is very dark and contains a significant amount of sediment. This indicates that a large amount of dirt and deposits has built up inside the battery over time, which may affect its performance. After that, I'll rinse the inside of the battery with clean water to remove the remaining old electrolyte and loose deposits. I place a funnel over each cell and slowly pour water into the battery. The water helps flush away dirt and residue from inside the cells, preparing the battery for the next cleaning step. Next, I drain all of the water from the battery into a separate container to complete the rinsing step. After that, I'll reuse two magnets to build a simple cleaning tool for the inside of the battery cells. Here, I prepare a section of electrical wire to serve as the conductors for this setup. First, I strip the end of the wire to expose the copper core and prepare it for the connection. Next, I divide the copper strands into two smaller groups so they are easier to connect to the different components. Then I twist one group of copper strands securely around the first magnet. I repeat the same process with the remaining wire and the second magnet. Every like and subscription motivates me to create more creative DIY projects. Thank you so much for your support. Next, I twist the red wire onto a metal rivet to create a contact point. For the blue wire, I do the same thing by attaching it to a metal washer. At this point, the two connection points for the homemade cleaning tool are complete and ready for the next step. In the next step, I use a power adapter to supply electricity to the homemade system. Then, I connect the wires from the two magnets to the connector of the power adapter to complete the setup. Next, I add a small amount of baking soda to each battery cell. In this process, the baking soda is being used to help neutralize some of the remaining acid and loosen deposits inside the battery. Baking soda is commonly used to neutralize spilled battery acid. After that, I slowly add water so the baking soda can dissolve and come into contact with the remaining solution inside the cells. As you can see, the mixture begins to fizz. This is the reaction between the baking soda and the remaining acid inside the battery. Next, I place the two magnets on the two battery terminals to connect them to the homemade system. Finally, I plug the power adapter into an outlet to supply power to the system. The power from the adapter flows through the two wires into the battery terminals, creating an electrical path through the system. When baking soda dissolves in water and reacts with the remaining acid, it produces fizzing that can help loosen deposits inside the battery. Next, I drain all of the water from inside the battery. As you can see, the water is very cloudy and contains a significant amount of dirt and sediment, showing that there are still many impurities inside the battery. After that, I pour clean water into each cell to rinse and remove any remaining residue. Next, I drain all of the water out of the battery. To clean it more thoroughly, I repeat the rinsing process one more time for each cell. After completing the cleaning process, I begin adding fresh electrolyte into each cell. The fresh electrolyte replaces the old, contaminated solution and helps restore the chemical environment needed for the battery to operate. Next, I apply a layer of glue around the cell openings. This helps secure the cover, reduce the risk of leakage, and protect the connection areas after reassembly. Then I place the cover on top and press it down to seal the cells. Next, I gently tap around the cover with a hammer to help secure it more firmly. Finally, I apply another layer of electrical tape around the battery to hold the cover firmly in place during the next testing stage. In the next step, I spray a small amount of WD-40 onto the two battery terminals to remove dirt, grease, and oxidation from the surface. After that, I gently clean around both terminals using a fine piece of sandpaper. Cleaning the terminals improves the contact surface, reduces contact resistance, and helps provide more stable charging and power delivery. Next, I connect the battery to a battery maintainer to recharge it. This type of charger can regulate the charging current and voltage during the charging process, helping provide a more stable and controlled recharge. After about 1 hour, the battery is fully charged. Next, I disconnect the charger and prepare to check the battery voltage again. Now, I use a multimeter to measure the battery voltage. This time, the meter shows approximately 12.78 V. This result indicates that the battery has regained its voltage and may be able to operate again. To test it in real conditions, I connect the light bulb wires to the two battery terminals. And as you can see, the bulb lights up normally. This shows that the battery can supply power again and that the restoration process has produced a positive result. If you found this tip useful, don't forget to like and subscribe to support the channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again in the next video.